In this bulletin, one respondent in the Canon dongle gear litigation says it's time to speak out. Hello, I'm David Gibbons. The recent Canon filing with the International Trade Commission has put the suppliers of aftermarket printer cartridges into a spin in America. Many distributors in the US used workaround solutions developed in China that were designed not to infringe Canon's patents. But Canon successfully filed new patents that now may cause the Chinese products to infringe. It has been 2 months since Canon sued 49 manufacturers of new-built cartridges and their US distributors. Now, one of the respondents has agreed to share their thoughts on the allegations and what it means for the industry. LD Products is headquartered in Los Angeles, California, and Christian Pepper, who is president of Channel Partner Division there, is based in Phoenix, Arizona. Greetings, Christian.
Hi, David. It's good to see you again.
2 months have passed and not a single respondent has spoken out. Why is that?
Well, parties involved in litigation do not usually comment on litigation and instead deal with it in the courts. But that prudent approach sometimes leaves kind of room for opportunistic competitors who are not involved in the litigation to really flood the industry with negative propaganda and wild assumptions that favor their own competitive businesses.
Negative propaganda? Strong words. What do you mean by that? I mean, can you elaborate more?
Well, I'm sure everybody's seen the advertisements and the emails have been going around, but, I'm a firm believer that if you sling dirt, you lose ground. So I'll kind of keep it kind of headline level. But, some competitors in the industry have rushed to judgment and spread misinformation relating to unsupported claims about new build cartridges, saying that they're illegal, and wild assumptions that this ITC action means Armageddon for the new build aftermarket industry. We're talking about a handful of cartridge models amongst the thousands of products that new build manufacturers produce. And to say that the product is illegal or counterfeit is overreaching the definition of these words, and that's just false. The term illegal under law is usually applied to things like a crime or a felony, and the term counterfeit suggests that the product in question is a blatant copy of the OEM. In this case, the litigation is around just one of the many components found inside a toner cartridge, not the entire product. And those components are clearly not the same as the OEM components. The fact of the matter remains that Canon's allegations are just that at this time. They're allegations. No determination has been made by any court or the ITC as to whether new build compatible cartridges infringe any of Canon's patents. And the court system is in place to help parties resolve disagreements, and that's just what's happening in this situation. Canon's patent position, is that the cartridges in question infringed 9 of their patents. The position of LD and several other respondents in the action is that, amongst other things, there are issues with the validity of Canon's patents. And just because an OEM files a lawsuit, that doesn't mean that the OEM is definitely going to win that lawsuit or that there is merit to its allegations. Let's take, for example, Lexmark and Impression Products case, which was resolved last year. Lexmark raised a number of allegations against remanufacturers in this particular case, and ultimately the Supreme Court ruled against Lexmark.
Some are saying that this Canon action spells the end for new-built products, especially in America. Others are saying this vindicates the remanufacturing business model where empty cartridges are collected and rebuilt, albeit using new parts. So, do you think this is a watershed moment for the aftermarket industry?
I think it is a watershed moment, but for not really the reasons that you suggested. I think a lot of people are still really confused about this type of litigation. This matter has nothing to do with the shell of the cartridge, which is commonly referred to as the new built part. This is entirely based around a single component. In this case, the aftermarket dongle gears and how they're attached to the drum assembly. And these aftermarket dongles are used in new build cartridges and many remanufactured cartridges. So although this action was aimed at new build manufacturers today, whether the case is won or lost is going to have wide-reaching implications for many, if not all, of the US remanufacturers as well.
Okay, Christian, but if Canon's claims succeed this time round, Isn't this the end of new build cartridge supplies?
I'm sure that the OEMs and some of the remanufacturers wish it was, but I am sure you can't put the genie back in the bottle this time. And history, I think, will point back to this moment to see how resilient the new build business model has become and how fast it can innovate. Let me share with you, we're using a two-part strategy in this case. The first thing is that we're actually defending this claim, and we're going to raise issues relating to the scope and validity of Canon's patents. And that's different from the first time that Canon sued around dongle gear technology. That time, every respondent settled or defaulted on Canon's claims. This time, we're not doing that. Secondly, we are also working on redesigning the models so that they avoid any possible future issues of infringement. In fact, a re-engineered solution that works around Canon's dongle patents, the new patents, has already been developed. It's in production and will be shipping out to customers in the next few months. And this is important because the earliest that the ITC litigation is going to be adjudicated is around June of 2019. That's a full year away from now. And that provides us with ample time for the introduction of our new cartridge designs. The strength of the new build business model and the market leader's ability to innovate new solutions means that we will be shipping new non-infringing product many months before the litigation at the ITC is completed. So even if Canon wins and prevails and they get a GEO in June of 2019 that prevents those old designs from being imported into the country, it's going to be a moot point because we'll have long since changed over to the new designs.
Wow, that's amazingly fast. Many have said to me that there are very few alternatives available to develop an alternative dongle gear that doesn't dongle and thus infringe Canon's patents. But can you tell me how the product has been redesigned?
Yeah, at this stage I can't be too specific because the design is protected by intellectual property, and currently those designs are making their way through new patent applications at the US Patent Office. But I can share with you kind of two things. I think the first thing is like how we've redesigned the gear so that it doesn't dongle or move, to your point. And then the second thing is like how that gear mates into the actual printer and thus powers the toner cartridge. So the first thing, and this is the thing that's an issue within Canon's old and new patents, is the fact that the gear pivots, moves, plunges, and it has movement. So instead of that, in the new design, we've used a normal fixed gear, like a gear with a central axis that just turns. And that's the same sort of gear that you find in a watch or a car or any mechanical object you can think of that uses a normal gear. And because of that, we feel that it's going to be impossible for Canon to claim ownership of that gear in any kind of patent because of all the prior art associated with that, with a regular kind of gear design. And instead, the innovation, and this is kind of the crucial part, the innovation is how that gear is pushed into place inside the cartridge. In an OEM cartridge, it's that dongling mechanism that's spring-loaded that makes that coupling. But in our cartridge, and this is kind of ironic, it has the new shell itself has been redesigned so that as that shell goes into the printer, there is technology that deploys inside the printer and pushes the cartridge against the machine so that the gear engages and drives the toner cartridge. That's completely different from an OEM cartridge.
Christian, this is not the first time Canon has pursued the aftermarket, and many are saying it will not end here either. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do. There are two types of patent litigation now where there used to be just one. The original form of patent litigation is around protecting new technology as new products are launched. And we and our partners are well versed with monitoring new product patent applications in designing workarounds that do not infringe. That's kind of normal business for us. But the current litigation is a departure from this model. Canon has gone back to the Patent Office after a few years of observing how companies have worked around their IP and filed continuation patents in an attempt to claim ownership of our innovation once they have the benefit of hindsight. Now that we know that they're doing this, we can monitor their continuation patent applications on older technology too and be prepared. And because of this, we think it's very likely that we will soon see a round of litigation around the color cartridges that use a similar dongle system to the monochrome family. Now, I'm sure that'll be shock and awe in the press to people that don't hear this interview if that happens. But let me just say that we're already anticipating this, and we're planning to deploy the redesigned cartridge innovations that I described earlier into these models. And of course, if we do see more litigation, we also plan to defend these allegations at the ITC as well.
Thanks, Christian, for joining me today.
Thank you, David.
I have been speaking with Christian Pepper, President of LD Products Channel Partner Division in the United States. Pepper will join ITC patent litigation specialist Merritt Blakesley and industry advocate Tricia Judge at the RT Imaging Expo and Summit in Cancun on May 24. Industry and business leaders are encouraged to register and attend this free event, which will feature 8 key presenters on hot industry topics. And for all the details of breaking news every day, go to rtmworld.com/2D or pick up a copy of our Imaging World magazine with AIMO Graphics founder Devin Du on the front cover. Published in English, Spanish, Chinese, Russian, and now in Arabic. Thanks for keeping in touch with This Week Today. I'm David Gibbons.